With me today is Robyn Greaves, and she is a career transition coach and author of Your Third Chapter, where she challenges the traditional idea of retirement and redefines what's possible in the third chapter of our life. With decades of experience in senior HR and change leadership roles, she now works with experienced professionals to help them move beyond conventional career paths and design a more meaningful, energizing, and impactful next chapter. So welcome, Robyn.
Thanks, Julie. Great to be here.
Absolutely. And congratulations on your new book. So when you talk about the third chapter, what do you actually mean by that?
So thanks, Julie. Many of us who are in our 50s and 60s, when we started our careers, had the assumption that around this time we'd either wind down or stop working altogether. But that story doesn't work for many people. Traditional retirement does suit some people, but we're living longer, we're healthier for longer, and many people want to keep contributing. So there is this extra stretch of time, this third chapter, where you can create a life and work that's uniquely your own and that is on your own terms. And I think that's very exciting.
Absolutely. So is there a specific period of time that you refer to as the third chapter?
So what I mean by the third chapter, and this is not an idea I invented, it is around in career transition circles. Mm-hmm. So the first chapter of if think about career as the chapters of a book, in the first chapter we're consumers. So not a consumer in the sense that retailers think of us as, but we have a long and dependent childhood. So that's education. The years that you may do education beyond school, early career experiences. The second chapter is all the building years. So building wealth, building your expertise. For some people, it's building, a family, a business. And of course, there's many stories and sub-themes within that and also exceptions. And that's completely fine. The third chapter is later career, and on the other side, for some people, of a corporate career. And it is this stretch of time, contribution becomes very important for a lot of people. And it is this opportunity to create another stretch of work and life that is to your own design.
Yeah, great. So thank you for defining that. And this is obviously something that you're very, very passionate about with your work. So what is it about this stage of life that matters to you so much?
Well, Julie, all of my career has been about change, helping people embrace change and open to new possibilities. And what I've seen, particularly in the last few years, is a large group of people who are in this time of life and who really want to contribute and have so much capability and knowledge and wisdom and so forth, and are finding it very hard to do so. So, as I said, traditional retirement does work for some people, and for some people winding down and stopping work at this time works for them. But for many people, it just does not meet their reality or their aspirations. And there's a lot of need out there is why I've written the book and why I'm particularly passionate about working in this space.
Yeah. I totally agree with that, because I know that, so say in 10 years' time, when I'm looking at retirement, I just don't want to, I just can't foresee myself retiring and doing nothing. Like, I just don't want to do that. I might change by that time, but I want to, as you say, be contributing. I find that really important. And I know a lot of people that I speak to find that important. I was speaking to a client just recently about that, and she's sort of coming up to that stage, and she's like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to transition into retirement. Like, how does that work? What do I need to be thinking about? So your book is definitely needed out there.
Yes. Many people that I talk to, like even the people around them, perhaps siblings, they reference their own parents who may have retired somewhere in that, around the mid-60s. And if people around you are doing that, and they may look happy, or you might be looking at them and thinking, you know what, I don't think that's going to be right for me. And because
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that being right for them. But many people do look at that and think, I really do want to do something different. And as I said, also the reality and aspirations of many people, the reality is for many people, if they start, I mean, I'm not about the money, but people do need income. And,
Yeah.
my own mother is 96. I could live another 30 years. So, when you think about it in those terms, we actually have, many of us have been gifted, and it is a gift, a longer run of time. So some of those traditional ideas about clocking off and drawing on savings or investments do not work for many people as well. So I think there's that piece, but also many, as you say, want to keep contributing and have
Yeah.
so much to contribute. And I don't think we want to put people out to pasture when they have so much to give. And the world really needs, I think, that expertise and experience and the nuanced understanding that you only get from decades of time living and in the workforce.
Yeah, exactly right. So, from your experience from working with people, like, what does a great third chapter look like? Not just one that looks great on paper, but how people are feeling, what they're experiencing, and I suppose how fulfilled they're feeling.
I think that's such a great question, Julie. And, what's important to you evolves over time. So for
Mm,
many people, it is reconnecting with with what really matters to you now, and then working towards getting that alignment. Uh, I find when I work with people, many people want to work but work differently. So how do they actually explore that? So that may be different um, part-time interim work, fractional opportunities, a portfolio of activities. Some people want to do advisory work. On the personal side, many people find that there's a hobby or an interest, something even that they've always wanted to do, and they bring that back into their life, and that is so energizing.
mm,
And you really feel that sense of alignment and that you're doing what you really want to do. So
mm.
many of us in early career in those building years, the second chapter, and a lot of it can be supporting other people, playing different roles. Work can take a lot out of you, your working life, a lot of time, parts of yourself that you don't really get to express and explore. So I think really reconnecting with yourself and what's important to you now, and then living into that. And you don't have to have the whole plan straight away. It does evolve. So once you
Yeah.
get that clarity, just taking one small step, even if it is having a chat with someone who's doing something that you're interested in,
Mm.
you're starting to get out there and explore. But from that place of clarity is what I'd suggest.
Totally motivating. You're so right. Like, just reconnecting back with what's really important to you, because we can become so disconnected from that when, we're in that building phase. We're often like just busy running around, as you say, looking after other people, fulfilling a role, and we can become really disconnected from what's important to us. So, that said, what is one of or some of the challenges that people probably don't see coming at this stage of their life, or maybe don't prepare for?
So I think one thing is that shift in identity, that
Mm,
for some people that can be very disorientating. And if you have spent a lot of time in a caring role, caring for children, aging parents, in a job that takes a lot of your time and effort, um, when you come up for air from that, it can be quite disorientating for people. I think on the looking for work front, many people have, if particularly again, if you've been in an organisation working away, you may think doing a good job is enough
Mm.
to find a new opportunity. So it is around finding ways to make yourself visible and how to actually position your value in the market, not so much a role and finding another job. So how to actually do that. So those are two things that I find people, often find a bit unexpected and challenging, but
Yeah,
can be worked through.
absolutely. So really positioning their value
Exactly. Mm.
rather than a title.
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
Yes, I love that. And something else that I really love that you say is that aging isn't decline, it's a shift in capacity. And like you said before, we're really blessed to if we have a longer runway at life. And I totally agree with that. So, can you unpack that a little bit for us? Because I think that challenges a lot of belief that people have that as they're aging, they lose relevance. People don't value them and they're not necessarily wanted so much. I think there's a real mindset around that.
Yes, absolutely, Julie. And sometimes, even with the best intentions, people can, uh, say things to you that make you feel. I had someone say to me the other day, "Oh, have you retired yet?" Um, I'm not planning to retire. I'm cracking on, doing what I'm doing. But people have that expectation, and
Mm,
you might start buying into that yourself. The assumptions are out there, and many people haven't met people who are working through their third chapter in different ways. It may be something they have not, and that's understandable. Many of us are in our bubble. And if you've been working away, you may not have have expanded that. The other thing that I find really exciting, Julie, is this idea of aging superpowers.
mm,
And for many people, and I find this when I'm working with people, they will say to me, you know what? It's like somebody said only a couple of days ago to me, it's like the veil has lifted. When I go into organizations, I can see the pattern, I can connect the dots, I have perspective. I can just get a sense that things are off. I just know, and I
mm,
know that's where I need to be looking. Uh, People come into a, a situation with perhaps less concern about rank or long term. It's a very nuanced understanding and a
mm,
perspective that is very exciting. And what I'm finding is that many organisations are actually sourcing experienced talent,
mm,
people with these aging superpowers, to implement changes, to not just take interim roles where they're keeping the seat warm, but to actually have a real strategic impact on the
mm,
organisation.
mm,
And of course, the growth in fractional roles. So people perhaps working a few days a week or a month or whatever it is, but mentoring younger people, setting the strategy and providing their expertise to organisations perhaps who can't afford to pay for somebody at that level on a full-time basis or don't need that, but
mm.
recognising the value of that expertise. So that is actually a growing trend, and I think a very exciting one. And yeah, people perhaps don't want to do an operational role where they're tied in, but
Yeah.
certainly, these sorts of roles. So yes, so I think very exciting that organisations are also recognising the aging the aging superpowers. And I spoken recently to a number of the interim search firms who tell me they're regularly placing people mid to late 60s for these kinds of assignments. And organisations who perhaps would have perhaps sourced somebody from one of the consulting firms to come in as another set of eyes and expertise, actually instead seeking out somebody who's already done it several times before and who brings that expertise and experience. Now, of course, these are people who have kept themselves up to date, who've kept educated. It's hugely important to keep learning, to make sure that you're current. I do fitness plays a part, obviously,
Yeah.
and keeping well, and but very exciting. I think that that's starting to be recognised, and
I love that. I love that. So for someone listening who knows that they don't want to like just fall into the next phase, what's one practical step that they could take now to start shaping that more intentionally?
well, I do think that connecting with what matters is really important, and starting to really connect in with what's important to you now, taking a realistic assessment of where you're up to, but also, you know, taking action, we learn by doing. So start even with one small step, having a conversation with somebody once a month who's doing what you're interested in doing, or who seems to be having a stellar third chapter, and how did they get there? You know, what's their secret? Starting to get out there and get involved. Sometimes it can be taking little courses. So even if you don't want to invest a lot of money in that, many organisations offer even free webinars, that kind of thing, where you can get a sense of different things you might be interested in. For some people, volunteering. Sometimes it's an opportunity to just broaden your network of people that you know, and start to become aware of what people are doing and what they're up to.
Yeah, that's great advice. So, if there's one thing that you'd want every listener to walk away with from this conversation, what would you like it to be?
Well, I think the idea of agency, and I know that's something that you talk about too, Julie, as in you can do it. Don't let yourself be talked into not making the best of this third chapter. You don't have to wind down or stop. It can be a real widening of possibility, of things that you've always wanted to do, and sometimes for some people a much greater influence, in fact, than they were able to have in their profession or in their corporate career. So really, take the opportunity and get out there, and you don't have to have the whole plan. It will evolve over time. Just take one small step to
Yes.
begin.
Right. Yes, that's such great advice. And I'll be sharing the links in the show notes where people can get hold of your book and get in contact with you, Robyn. And I think it's just such a, really well laid out, well written resource for people. And I think your comment around agency is so important, because the last thing we need to be doing is buying into other people's limiting beliefs or what they believe should happen when people are, moving towards that stage. But, this could be the best stage of our life, I think. So we're doing things on
Absolutely.
our own terms.
Absolutely. And I hear that regularly from people who are living into this search. People actually say that to me, this is the best stage of my career. We are having the best time. So sometimes people approach these years with dread, and they can buy into that. I'm on the slippery slope, and my memory's not as good as it used to be, and start to feel quite a bit of fear and concern. But actually there's a whole other chapter waiting to be created.
There is that third chapter. So, Robyn, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for the work that you're doing for people in this space.
Absolute pleasure. Thanks so much, Julie.